Hello, my name is Kylie, and I am a huge fan of the indie animated show The Amazing Digital Circus, or TADC for short. There are many reasons why it's funny, it's very colorful, and the animation is great, especially for starting on YouTube and now on Netflix. That's absolutely crazy. The voice acting is great, the characters are just amazing, everything about it is really good. So what I want to talk about today is Jax, my absolute favorite character. And there aren't many other people I know who like the show, but the ones who do always ask me, why do I like Jax so much? He's a jerk, he's mean, he's sometimes even just straight up evil. And I'm like, I just like really mean characters. So, I don't know. But I want to talk about maybe some theories that I have and things that I thought would be a case, but as the episodes came out, they don't really make sense anymore. Like, a really popular theory is that Jax is an NPC, but ever since about, episode 5 and 6, that doesn't seem very accurate anymore, because in those 2 episodes, he's been showing a lot more emotion than just the chill, he's fine with everything, he's never scared, he's never really upset usually, and he's just very chill. But in episode 5 and 6, he's shown more, mostly frustration, and even a couple moments it looked like he was slightly scared. In episode 6, he had his whole panic attack in the bathroom. That's crazy. So that doesn't really seem like an accurate, theory anymore. Some people can think that, so if they want, and I can't tell you what you get to think about these things, but I'm just saying, to me, that's not really accurate. And we all know that Jax is a very mischievous, mean, ridiculous character. He does everything he can to make the other characters miserable, especially Gangle. And there are a few theories with that, maybe Gangle came either the day or a couple days after Ribbit got abstracted, which again is another theory of Jax's friend. And he abstracted, so ever since he's been warning him, but obviously he's hiding it with that big smile of his. And there are some points now, recently, where he has, slipped up on his, composure. For example, in episode 6, they all get guns, it's my favorite episode. Ragatha points out that Jax is trying to corrupt Pomni, because yes, Pomni and him were bonding, or, at least getting along more, and then later he completely pushes her away. But Ragatha points out that he is trying to corrupt her. He gets super upset about that, and, shoots her, even though, the ammo, and there was no ammo left, he kept shooting, and because he was upset about that, I don't think he's angry at her for, saying that, or if it's because she did the weird cartoon logic thing, but it's most likely that she was right that he's doing that. And as soon as Pomni came to the area that he was in, he wiped off the, gunpowder or whatever that was on his face and immediately put a smile on. Everything is fine. And Jax and Pomni won the adventure. They had enough, they didn't, get completely eliminated. They won. And Pomni was super excited and was like, yay, we did it! And she hugged him, and even if he wasn't trying to push her away afterwards, she should know that he's not a hugger. He doesn't like being touched, so I can understand why he, pushed her away for that, because he doesn't like being touched in general. But she got really confused, because they were talking, they were, working as a team during the adventure, and then he just starts, basically denying everything. And it's sad for her and for the audience, even for people who are watching. Like, a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, he's being less of a jerk. And then he had his whole crash out, and really, really, really changed all of that. Episode 6 was one of the most interesting episodes to me because it kind of dug a little deeper into Jax, because Jax has a lot of walls up. He doesn't, admit that he feels scared or sad or even just a little bothered by things. He never shows it because he wants to remain in control and wants to be better than everyone else. But that could really break him, and he could abstract or at least just become slowly more insane. He might have more panic attacks, or we don't really know yet. But episode 7 is coming in, I think it's 15 days now, so December 12th. And I'm really excited to see how that goes, because if you looked in one of the Glitch's newest videos, they showed a bunch of new stuff about all kinds of things they're doing. So Knights of Guinevere, even Murder Drones, even though that kind of stopped a few years ago. The show's done. Mason Joe Circus, a clip of what the next episode's going to be like. And there's just so much that we need to figure out. And the part where Palmy is more hesitant of, doing the actual, shooting, and she doesn't really want to, Jax has a whole speech talking about how, they're just cartoon characters. They're not people really anymore, and they just have to fall into the archetypes or their personalities as a game character, basically. And he even impersonates everyone in the archetype they are. And he calls himself the funny one, which he might be kind of twisting what that means, because he thinks that the funny one means that it's funny to him when he, hurts others or messes with others. But usually the funny one means that the others will at least laugh with him, probably at him, but he gets super upset when he gets laughed at. So he's very hypocritical about it too. And, Palmy saying, what's your archetype then? The villain? That actually seems way more accurate, but he denies it. It makes it the funny one. And it's funny too that he breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. Honestly, I think he's done it in almost every episode so far. But even though it's just a little funny thing for, us, the ones watching, he's like, oh my god, he broke the fourth wall. But also in that world, that is more of an evidence that he is not okay. Because everyone else is like, what are you doing? And so it's interesting how not even Pomni really figured him out yet. She's pointed out some things, but she hasn't noticed much yet. I honestly kind of hope that he becomes a little more easy to read, because that way they can help him, or maybe just not hate him as much. And he obviously doesn't want to get attached to anyone, and most likely it's because, well, one, he just doesn't want to feel vulnerable or look vulnerable, but two, so that if he does get attached to that person and they abstract, he's going to mourn all over again. He's going to feel super bad. So if he's not close with someone, he won't care as much or he thinks that he won't care as much when they abstract. But again, that's not true. He's gonna feel bad. He's just not gonna show it. And on the other hand, Zubul and Gangle were looking for guns to use. And Gangle gets really upset, Jax is gonna hurt me and, get his revenge because they didn't let me his team. And Zubul is saying, you're a person, you're not his toy. And so basically there's completely different perspectives. Jax saying that we're not people, and Zubul saying we are. So they both sides have good points and bad points. But that's the thing. Like, it's kind of hard to tell in a, game, computer, you don't know for sure. Because Kane, also, on the other hand, isn't really doing anything about it. He is not stopping Jax, really. He doesn't do anything about these things. He just, mostly watches, unless it's time for adventure. And he's like, adventure time! And he, says the title of the adventure and starts telling how to do it. That's, all he does. And recently, the awards for favorite character became a thing. And he got upset that he wasn't the one that got the most stars or most votes for best character, and he started glitching a little, which also has been happening lately. In other episodes, he has, glitched out, or, something happened that doesn't make any sense. He swore without the censor. He, the entire circus area started, glitching when Zubul and him having that therapy session, episode 3. And then in episode 4, when he was doing the grading, basically how they did it work, and after Gangle left, he started glitching again. So something is definitely happening, and we don't know exactly what's causing him to malfunction so much, because even Bubble is starting to, swear and, glitch out, and it's super strange. And all of this is just some things that have been going on. And in a way, I feel bad for Jax, but then also I don't. Because basically being mean is his coping mechanism, but that doesn't make it okay. He just doesn't really know what else to do, because you're stuck here, you are, in the circus, you can pretty much do whatever you want, and so he's taking that advantage of doing whatever he wants to hurting the other characters. And I guess it could be fun to him, because cartoon logic, limbs could just stretch really long, like Pomni's did in episode 2, or the gun logic, where you put the finger in the gun and it goes back to the person who was going to shoot, and other fun things that he could do that obviously you wouldn't be able to do in real life. And he is 22 years old. He is the youngest, aside from Zubul's 22 and a half. So it makes sense why he's so immature, too, because he's a young adult. And the thing I've been thinking about is maybe the reason why, at least secretly, that he hates it, but, on the outside he doesn't, and is it, actively being insane, or actively trying to find the exit, like Pomni did in episode 1, and a little bit episode 2, is because he doesn't have responsibilities. Since he's a newer adult, he is getting, used to paying the bills, buying stuff for yourself, having a job, and he doesn't want any of that. So maybe one reason why he's not, hating the circus is because he doesn't have any responsibilities as an adult. He can just do whatever he wants with no consequences. Which, that does sound really fun, right? But still don't do that with other people. I don't know. But again, Kane isn't doing really anything about it. He's just watching. And the thing is, I feel like the other characters can do something about that. Pomni could try and stop him. Ragatha, Yangle, really anyone. But they just don't. And the reason why I think they can is because the reason why there aren't some things that you're allowed to do aren't allowed to do. So, you can't swear, right, without a censor. You can't, find the exit. There's no exit. There's no way out. But if they think about it enough and, like, tell themselves that that is a thing they could do, then I feel like they can. So if, like, because Ragatha tried to shoot Jax with a gun that had, like, the weird Joker bang flag on it, and she was like, what the heck? And I think it's because she was doubting herself that she can shoot Jax or that she doesn't really want to shoot Jax. So that thought became reality, and the gun didn't shoot anything except for the flag. And same for Kinger, who made the butterfly of his hands that gave Regan the heart. You can't do that unless he thinks he can. And so that means that Pomni was convincing herself that there was an exit, but the reason why it was a loop and she couldn't actually get out is because she was still doubting herself a little that it wasn't real. So, honestly, that's probably one reason why Jax can do things that people thought Jax was an NPC, like having keys out of nowhere and, like, picking things up that weren't there before. But that's also, again, cartoon logic. And also, he was thinking in his head that he has all the keys, so he does. And that's why they are all more powerful than they think they are. Like Kane in first episode said that he can't control the characters' minds. But then in episode 5, Kane and the other characters make him vegan. And that's kind of messed up. But if you think about it, you can be vegan without mentally being it. Like, they made him vegan by the votes, right? So technically, the voting system is like, as many, if 4 people wanted, like, to just change the, adventure, and, the others didn't, and, it just depends. But since you can't, like, change if he's vegan or not, because, he's not vegan, he eats all food, I assume, and, like, he's not vegetarian or anything. But the reason why they were able to do that is because Kane gave the characters the ability to do that. So he can't actively change his diet to vegan, but he gave the ability of the characters to do that for him. So, if that makes sense. So, again, like, it's not just, like, what Kane says you can or can't do. It's literally, you can do whatever you want as long as you convince yourself enough that it's possible. So if Zubo really wanted to swear and without, like, censoring her hands or her mouth, or she doesn't have a mouth, but you know what I mean, then she could just say to herself until she convinces herself that's possible, and then she'll be able to swear. And the part where I don't think any of us expected when she said her request in episode 6, the reason why Kane, like, glitched out all over, like, just like, duh, is because, one, it's supposed to be a place, like, all ages. It's not supposed to be 18 plus, so he didn't like that. But then, when he, like, the ding sound, and he got back to normal, that ding means that was granted. That wish was granted, and you got back to normal. It's like, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. And, so basically the point is, they are more powerful than they think they are, or are said to be. And that's why Jax is, able to do these things without others at least choosing to stop him. They don't. Ragatha, literally the worst that Ragatha has ever done is yell at him. She's never actively tried to, like, move herself away, really, or if he's bothering, like, Gangle or something, never trying to move them away from him, or move him away from them. She just, she gets a little upset, disappointed, basically like a mom, just like a non-strict mom. And that's why it's so fun for him, because no one even tries to stop him. And the other thing I noticed is that Gangle we all know that Gangle is mostly tormented by him, and Jax doesn't really bother everyone else as much as he bothers Gangle. But Gangle is always standing next to him in every scene. At least every scene has all the characters in one spot. Like when Kane was having all of them in one area to talk about the new adventures he had an idea for, she was standing next to Jax. And that's like in every other scene. They're standing in the same spot next to each other, which is weird because she hates him, Jax hates her, but they're always standing next to each other. It's just a little detail I found. I mean, it could just be that's like where all the characters ended up. I don't know, but I just noticed that. But that is basically everything that I wanted to talk about. But this is like one of my first full videos, so I'm sorry if this is weird and it's not like edited good. But thank you for watching, and I suppose if you want more, you can comment or like and make more videos, because I'm usually making shorts. But bye. Again, I'm Kylie. My nickname is Cayenne, so you can call me that too if you want. But bye.